The M2 Bradley IFV, or just simply Bradley, is an American designed, produced and fielded infantry fighting vehicle with a history spanning more than 40 years. It is fed with both armor-piercing discarding sabot and high-explosive incendiary rounds, with the gunner able to switch between the two at will. In addition to the primary cannon, it is equipped with a 2-cylinder tow-guided missile launcher for heavily armoured vehicles like tanks, and an M240 machine gun mounted coaxial to the cannon. Before we cover the fun stuff like shooting, let's learn some history. This is the M2A3 Bradley, likely the most common one you'll use and encounter on the field. It has a 600 horsepower engine and explosive reactionary armor meant to nullify heat rounds. It is effective on all terrain and will go where you want it to go. Designed in the 60s by the FMC, the Bradley was designed to respond to the BMP series of Russian armoured vehicles. Instead of modernising the older M113, the US Army elected to design an entirely new vehicle, known early on as the XM2. It was much heavier and bigger than the M113 and could not be used amphibiously. Lots of these changes and a large design cost due to the Bradley having to fill the requirements of being both an IFV and a reconnaissance vehicle sparked a debate within the military procurement offices of the Pentagon. These debates would subsequently be developed into a movie, The Pentagon Wars. After 25 years of development, it was finished, and the first production vehicles were shipped to the Army in 1981, and it excelled in all of its intended roles. The Bushmaster cannon was accurate and hard-hitting against even tanks of the Iraq Army, and the tow launcher scored more kills than any M1 Abrams tank during Desert Storm, and could transport a team of soldiers to anywhere on the battlefield. Actually, let's talk about Desert Storm. In 1991, Iraq invaded Kuwait, and the coalition forces intervened. The most prominent player of this coalition was, of course, the United States. This was to be the first real test for the Bradley, and it would absolutely prove itself. 2,200 Bradleys were deployed to Iraq, and only 20 were lost. 17 of that 20 was to friendly fire. Its use in recent years has been most prominently associated with the Ukraine war after the United States sent arms and ammunition to support Ukraine. Famously, 2 Bradleys disabled a T-90, the most advanced tank the Russian army have fielded in the war, by using the 25mm cannon to shoot it in the turret ring and cause the tank turret to uncontrollably rotate, leading to the crew having to abandon it. Additionally, many Ukrainian press releases have spoken to and detailed the success of the Bradley. Thank you for attending my TED Talk. Now we'll get to Arma 3. Today we'll be covering basic gunnery for the Bradley and which things should you use your Bradley to blow up. First things first, we'll need a Bradley. There are 3 groups of enemy most common you'll see in Arma 3. First is the infantryman. Mighty is the RPG in the right hands. Do not underestimate them. Second is the APC. Most of Soviet armor consists of IFVs and APCs, same as any other country. These will give you a fight, but with practice and a good idea of the vehicle you are in, it will be an easy fight. Lastly is the tank. They are capable of destroying you in a single shot without you even hearing the round being fired. But, just like the lowly infantryman, the tank can be defeated with the right know-how. This is you. You're in a Bradley. You're assaulting an enemy position. You know they are fortified and may have anti-tank weapons. Your driver stops on the spot with adequate cover and protection from small rounds, and it is now your turn. Look at that face. That face screams war. Firstly, we will make sure we are using the correct weapon for infantry in a fortified position, the 25mm with the high explosive belt loaded. Use the F key to select the cannon and appropriate rounds. Next we will check we have a full belt by looking in the top right and making sure our ammo reserve is adequate for the outpost. Anything less than a full belt with none in reserve, and I would recommend restocking before engaging further targets. Next we will select our rate of fire. The coloured blocks under our ammo count in the top right correspond to the speed in which bullets fire. 1 block means slow, 3 is medium, 5 is fast. Generally, you will stay at 5, but when firing at a small outpost like this, it is advisable to stay at medium and keep your ammo whenever possible. Next up is target acquisition. Acquiring a target with the Bradley is easy. You have access to a thermal imager, and the zoom is nothing to scoff at. Zoom with plus and minus on your keyboard number pad or with the thumb buttons on your mouse, and engage thermal vision with N. You have found a target, but you are quite far away and don't know the range you need to put into the gun in order to hit the rounds. Luckily, the Bradley has you covered. Put the middle of your crosshair either on the target or as close to him as possible using the terrain or a building and press T. This will laser designate him and automatically put the range in. This is also done with enemy vehicles, but I will cover that in the APC section. You now have a loaded, sighted gun with the correct range and a target in your sights you have confirmed to be the one you want to blow up. Next is the fun part, shooting. Start off with a burst of about 1 to 1.5 seconds in duration and watch for effect on target. If the rounds are landing too short or too far, laser designate again and act accordingly. Sometimes when firing at infantry, it is preferable to use a coaxial machine gun. Perhaps the infantry is running from a vehicle and you have an easy shot, or you are trying to preserve your 25mm for fortifications and clusters of infantry. The coaxial machine gun works just like the cannon, but it only has one fire mode, fast. Control the spread with bursts and keep the traces on target. You are now a vicious killing machine of the military-industrial complex. Congratulations, the hat is complimentary. This is just a basic introduction to the Bradley gunnery. The next video you will receive as part of your training will be about the tow launcher and engaging enemy vehicles. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more training.